Hello student, myself Nikita Jain. We are going to study taxation, a subject of 7-6 for Finance BMS elective. Okay, in the last lecture, if you remember, we already studied supply is a supply only if there is a consideration, right? But what the Schedule 1 says, it is a supply if it is in the course of furtherance of business, even if it is without consideration. What are the transactions which are included in Schedule 1? So the first transaction which has been included in Schedule 1 is supply between agent and principal and agent. Okay, let us understand this with the help of an example. Okay, I am taking goods from Lux and I am selling it ahead. If I am a pure agent, I am not been included in this category. If I am not a pure agent, I am been included in the category of agent. Okay, then we have to pay GST. What do I mean? I purchase goods from Lux. I am selling it to a third party. Okay, when I am selling these goods to third party, the invoice, if I am issuing this invoice in my name, say for example, my name is Nikita, so I am issuing it the invoice in the name of Nikita. In this case, whatever goods I have received from Lux, I have to pay GST on that, and whatever goods I have sold to the third party will be paying GST too. Okay, this is what the scenario is. Now, say for example, I purchase goods from Lux and I am selling it to third party. The invoice which I issued is in the name of Lux and not mine. In this case, what will be the scenario? Whatever goods I have sold to the third party, he will be paying the GST. Okay, and I will be paying GST only on the commission amount which I have charged. So this means what? As an agent, I am receiving goods from Lux without consideration and I am selling it to third party. But I have issued invoice in my name. Then the transaction will be considered as supply and I have to pay GST. Okay, this is the first category. The second category which we have is import of service. That we are going to discuss later on. Okay, the third category which we have, transfer and disposal of assets and goods. Okay, now this means what? This means, say for example, I have taken a machinery because I have my baking. Okay, so I purchased a food processor. Okay, now this food processor helped me to kin the dough. Okay, kin the dough means aata gundne mein help karta. Now my bakery did not last, so I have to close the bakery and I'm selling this food processor. Do I have to pay GST on that sale amount? Yes. So this is called disposal of asset. Okay. Now transfer of asset means what? Say for example, I have a 12-seater car which I am using for my tourism business. Okay. I have a business of tourism which I use for Mumbai Darshan. But now say for example, because of COVID, tourism is not going at all well. So what do? I use this business. Okay. I use this 12-seater car for my personal purpose. Now this is called transfer. Do I have to pay GST on this transaction? Yes, I have to pay. But provided only and only if I have claimed ITC. Now we have the fourth category. Thus, what are they? Transaction between related party and district person. Now understand what does related party mean. Related party means members of the same family. As per GST Act, who are the members of the same family? Spouse and children. Your spouse and your children are your members of the same family. But your grandparents, siblings, and your maternal, paternal uncles and aunt, are they of same family? No. They are of same family. They will be considered as related parties only and only if they are dependent on you. What do I mean? I mean, say for example, I am a wedding planner. Okay. I have my son. I am planning a wedding of my son. I am not charging anything from him. Do I have to pay? Yes, I have to pay. Say for example, the market value of planning the same wedding is 50,000. So I have to pay 50,000 GST. It will be considered as same. Say for example, I have my brother. He is not dependent on me. Okay, I have planned the same wedding for him. The charges are 50,000. Do I have to pay GST? No, because we are not related party. Now, say for example, my brother is dependent on me. So, do I have to pay? Yes, if he is dependent, or I have to pay. For spouse and children, I have to pay even if they are dependent or not dependent. For other members of the family, yes, I have to pay only if they are dependent. Okay, this is the first thing. Now, which are the other categories in related party? Okay, if you are legal partners of the same firm. Okay, if you are officer, directors, promoters and owners of each other, if two persons control one person or if one person controls two persons. If a person owns more than 25% of share in a company, okay, if a person holds 25% or more shares in two companies, okay, they both two companies become related parties. ठीक है. Then they are the sole agent and distributor. So what do I mean when I say all of this? Say for example, I have a stationery shop. Okay, I am the sole distributor of Camlin Company. In this case, any transaction between me and Camlin Company, it becomes a related party transaction. So I have to pay GST even if we are dealing without consideration. Okay, even if he's selling me goods without consideration. Okay. Now say for example, I have a restaurant. The restaurant is being owned by me and my friend. Both of us are owning the restaurant. I also have a business of selling cheese. So any goods which I am selling. Say for example, if I am selling the cheese from my distribution to my restaurant, do I have to pay GST? Yes. Why? Because they are related. Okay. Any transaction between me and my partner will also be considered as a related party transaction. Okay. Hopefully you understood this much. These are in detail, in depth about related party. Now let me talk about distinct person. What does distinct person means? Say for example, I have a McD store in Maharashtra, in Mumbai. I want to start the own McD store in Gujarat. Okay. So now tell me, any transaction between McD, Maharashtra and Gujarat, what it will be considered as distinct party, because both are being owned by me. Say for example, I have a call center business. The head office is in Mumbai, but the branch is in Chennai. Any transaction between the head office and the branch. Okay. Say for example, I've given called my manager of Mumbai and I've asked him to give training to the employees of Chennai. Will it be considered as a distinct party transaction? Yes, it will be considered. Okay. This is called distinct party. Okay. Basically, the vertical or the horizontal alignments, or it means the head office and the branch are being owned by the same person. Then it becomes a distinct person transaction. Okay. So we are done with Schedule 1. What does Schedule 1 includes? It includes import of service that we are going to discuss later. It includes supply between principal and agent and principal, vice versa. Permanent transfer and disposal of asset. Okay. Then we have transaction between related party and distinct person. Okay. This is Schedule 1. Now let us talk about Schedule 2. When I talk about Schedule 2, what does I mean? It means a brief classification of a transaction, whether it is a supply of good or service under GST Act, because GST Act includes both goods and services, right? So brief description and a brief classification about the same, whether a particular is a supply of good or a supply of service. Okay. Now what are the supply of service? Any transaction, immovable property, it will be considered a supply of service and not supply of good. Okay, because immovable properties are not been included in the definition of goods under GST. So that's why it is a supply of service. So giving on rent, giving on rental, giving on lease, okay, giving for accommodation, say for example, hotel, lodge, lobby accommodation. This all will be considered as a supply of service. Okay. Even if I'm giving for works contract. Works contract means I have a house, I've given it to interior to design it. It will be considered as service. Okay. Apart from that, when we talk about intangible assets, okay, that means copyright, patents, softwares. Majorly, they are being considered as service. Upgradation, okay, upgradation, installment. Say for example, I have a pen drive and I'm selling that pen drive. Okay. Say for example, we have a CD, antivirus CD, and we are selling that CD. Then it will be considered supply of good. But if I'm renewing the contract every year, okay, antivirus software has been renewed every year, then it is a supply of service. Okay. Same goes with games. Say for example, if you download a PUBG, it is a supply of service. But if you purchase a software, okay, then it will be considered as supply of goods and not supply of service. Okay. Sometimes we use softwares like Kindle and all, but we pay for the same, but it is a supply of service, not supply of goods. Okay. This is what the scenario is when you talk about intangible assets. Transfer of ownership and possession. This is very important in case of goods. Say for example, I have purchased a car. Okay, the value of a car is 5 lakh. I'm not able to pay 5 lakh currently. So I'm purchasing in installment. That is 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh and 1. So in this case, it will be considered supply of good or service. Obviously, it will be considered supply of goods. Why? Because मेरे पास ownership and possession both है. Ownership means the car belongs to me. Okay, it is in my name. Now, if anything happens to car, who's responsible? I am responsible. And possession means I can use the car. Okay. Now, say for example, Zoom cars. If you talk about this, is an example of good or service. Obviously, it is an example of supply of service. Why? Because here, what are we doing? we are taking only the possession, not the ownership. If anything happens to the car, will we get the amount of insurance? No. Who's going to get? The person who's owning the car. Okay. So this is the difference between ownership and possession. So only if possession is transferred, then it is a supply of service. But if ownership and possession both are transferred, then it is a supply of goods. Okay. Now let us talk about job work and works contract. Job work means what? It means I have received a raw material, okay, and I have to do some finishing and convert it into a finished goods. Or say for example, I have received a material and I have to prepare a good from that material as per the requirement of third individual. This means the example of job. Okay, this is very much common in automobile industry. Okay, say for example, the manufacturer of Royal Enfield, do they color the bike? No, they outsource it. They ask some third party to color it. The coloring services provided by the third party. It is supply of good or service. Obviously, it is a supply of service. Okay. Now let us talk about the next thing. This is works contract and job. Works contract is very much common in case of immovable property and infrastructure. That is service of a metro project. Metro project is an example of works contract. Okay, it is a supply of service. Why? Because the property do not belong to them. They are just working on it and giving them a proper service. Okay, this is the first thing. Now the next thing, the last thing which we have is supply of goods, okay, or any other article for human consumption. It is a supply of good or supply of service. Obviously, it is a supply of service. Catering service, restaurant service, all these are what example of services. Okay, so we are done with schedule 2 also. Now we have schedule 3. What does schedule 3 says? Schedule 3 is very easy to understand. Schedule 3 means all those activities which are not being considered as supply nor as services, even if we are doing it for consideration. Okay, which are they? The first one is funeral, cremation and burial service. मतलब अगर हम बॉडी को जलाते हैं, दफनाते हैं, okay, या funeral means as per Christian ideology, okay, then you say burial means as per Muslim ideology, and if you say cremation means as per Hindu ideology. Then we have also mortuary, which is as per Parsi ideology. Any services provided for them, do we have to pay GST? No. So the services provided by those padri or by our religious gurus, that is Pandit, Maulvis, are they taxable? No, they are not taxable. Okay. Services provided by MP, MLA, panchayats. Okay. Then arbitral tribunals, that means the judges of the court. Okay, and the ancillary services to them. Are they taxable? Are they taxable under GST Act? They are not taxable. Okay. Same goes with MP, MLAs, members of parliament, members of panchayat, okay, and local bodies. Why? Because how do they receive salary? They receive salary from the amount of tax which we are paying. तो ये क्या हो गया? इधर से पैसे लेना और इधर पैसे देना. So it unnecessarily increase the burden. So that's why they are being exempted. Okay. Now, second thing what we have, the first was services of funeral. The second was services of MPs, MLAs, arbitrary tribunals. Okay. The third which we have, services provided by employee to employer in the course of employment. Okay. So what do I mean? Employee means the person who is the service provider. Okay. Say for example, I am working in HUL. Okay. So HUL is the boss. I am the service provider. Okay. Now, in the course of employment, they have given me a contract. I am their marketing person. I am doing marketing for them. Any service I provide in that, if I receive salary, say for example, my package is 8 lakh rupees. I am receiving that salary. Do I have to pay GST on that? No. Along with that, say for example, I am very good with GST. I am giving GST training to their employees and they are giving me a 5 lakh rupees of check for the same. Do I have to pay GST on that? Yes, I have to pay GST on that. Okay. Now say for example, I am appointed by a CA in a CA firm. I am doing audit for them. Okay. My package again there is 8 lakh rupees. I am earning good amount. Along with that, he is very good in finance. So I take CFA classes from him. Do I have to pay GST? Yes, I have to pay. Why? Because this is service provided by the employer to the employee and that is not in the course of employment. Okay. This is the third thing. Then we also have one more thing, okay, which we need to discuss when we talk about schedule. That is any services which are being provided by a person from a non-taxable territory into a non-taxable territory. Okay, what do I mean? Very easy to understand. Okay, this includes high sea sale transaction. What does high sea sale transaction means? Goods are being sold or they are being transacted when they are in transit. Okay, say for example, I am in India. I purchased goods from Europe and I sold them goods in Sri Lanka before the goods entered the territorial limits. Do I have to pay GST on this transaction? No, not at all. Okay. See, I also told you about custom areas, custom warehouses, and ICDs. Any goods, okay, which are coming into custom areas. Okay, I'm doing packaging on that, and then I'm selling it to Sri Lanka, UAE. Do I have to pay GST? No. Okay, so goods transferred from one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory. Do I have to pay GST? No. Say for example, I'm a artist. Okay, I'm a stand-up comedian. I go to America. I give my show there. I collect a check of $50,000. Okay, and I come to India. Do I have to pay the amount GST on that? No. Why? Because the service was being provided outside India, not in the taxable territory. Okay, so these are the services which we talk about, which have been included in Schedule 3. They are called services of negative list. What does it include? Okay, it includes services of funeral, burial, okay, services provided by MP, MLA, and arbitral tribunal, services provided by employee to employee in the course of employment, and any services provided by a person in non-taxable territory to another person in non-taxable territory. Okay, these are being included. So thank you. We are done with 3 topics, that is Schedule 1, 2 and 3.